The Lemonade War, Chapter 4. Chapter 4 is called Partnership. A partnership is a noun. It means two or more people pooling their money, skills, and resources to run a business, agreeing to share the profits and the losses of that business. Chapter 4. Jesse had been waiting for this moment, the moment when Evan would see their lemonade stand, see the wonderful decorations they had made, see the crowds of people waiting in line, see Megan Moriarty standing by her side. He would see it and he would be so impressed. He would think to himself, wow, Jesse is one cool kid. She sure knows how to run a lemonade stand, right? And then he'd jog over and he'd say, hey, can I help out? And Jesse would say, sure. Of course you can. We were hoping you'd come over. And then it would just be like the old times. Why hadn't it worked out like that? With one part of her brain, Jessie continued to take money from customers and make change. That was the part of her brain that worked just fine. With the other part of her brain, Jessie went over what had happened with Evan. That was the part of her brain that tended to run in circles. She just didn't understand. She and Megan were selling lemonade. Business had been good. Then Mrs. Polly, a neighborhood mom, walked up. She had a bunch of kids in her backyard running through the sprinkler, and now they wanted 12 cups of lemonade. 12! It was the biggest sale of the day. Megan got cracking pouring the lemonade, and Jessie took the 6 single-dollar bills that Mrs. Polly handed her. All the kids from Mrs. Polly's backyard were chanting, lemonade, lemonade, lemonade. A fly buzzed by Jessie's ear. They'd been having that problem with flies because of the sticky lemonade spills on their stand. And she cocked her head to the side to shoo it since her hands were busy with money. And that's when Jessie looked up and saw Evan standing there staring, so she smiled. But he didn't smile back, so she waved, even though she had all that money in both hands. She'd waved so he'd know that she was happy to see him. And then he stalked off, all stiff-legged and bristly. And she never got to say, sure, we were hoping you'd come over, just like she'd rehearsed in her head. So friends, 2 different perspectives. Think about what happened. Think about Evan's perspective and what he saw and what he thought. And think about Jessie's perspective and what she saw and what she thought. And just then, Tommy Polly, who was 2 years old, pulled out his bathing suit and peed right there on the front lawn. Oh dear. And Megan laughed out loud, so loud that Jessie was sure that you could hear it all over the neighborhood. That's what happened. That's exactly what happened. But Jessie knew that something else entirely happened. And she didn't get it the way she used to didn't get a lot of things about a lot of people. All she knew was that the sight of Evan walking away from her for the second time that day made her feel so sad and so alone that she just wanted to run home to her room and curl up on her bed with Charlotte's Web. Hey, madam, cash register, said Megan, nudging her. You're falling behind. Bring 3 more cups up for this lady and 1 here for this kid. Jessie turned away from the retreating figure of Evan. That's $1.50, she said to the woman standing in front of her. She took the $5 bill the woman was holding out and she made change from her change box, focusing all of her energy on the part of her brain that worked just fine. It's true that when Evan had first walked out of the garage, Jessie had banged up to her room and tried to think of every possible way that she could make his life miserable. She'd thought of telling Mom that Evan was the one who broke the toaster by playing hockey in the house, which he's not allowed to do. She thought about taking back every single one of her CDs from his room, even though she knew that that would mean she'd have to give back all of his CDs that she had borrowed. She'd even thought of putting peanut butter in his shoes. This was something that she'd read in the book. And she loved the image of that moment of horror, just to think that there was something gross inside of his shoes. But when these ideas had finished bouncing around her brain, and when her breathing had returned to normal, and when her fists weren't clenched at her sides anymore, she knew what she really wanted was get the old Evan back. The one who was so much fun to be around, the one who helped her out of a jam every time. Like when she ate all the Lorna Doones cookies that Mom set aside for the for the Girl Scout meeting, and Evan had ridden his bike to the 7-Eleven and bought a new package before Mom even noticed. Or when she accidentally, well, not accidentally, but how was she supposed to know, picked the red flowers in Grandma's garden that were a hybrid flower experiment? Evan had said that they both had done it so that Grandma's disappointment was spread around, not just on her. Or what about the time that Jessie had smashed the ceramic heart that Daddy had given her because she was so mad that he had left them? And then when she had cried about her broken heart and Evan glued back every single piece together again. She wanted the Evan who was her best friend back. But Evan didn't want her because he thought she was a baby and he thought she was going to embarrass him in Mrs. Overton's class. So she had to prove to him that she was a big kid, that she could keep up with the crowd, that she could fit in even with his 4th grade class. I'll show him I can sell lemonade too. I'll show him I can be just as good as him and Scott. I won't embarrass him. So Jessie got down to business. She needed a partner. From past experience, she learned that having a lemonade stand alone wasn't considered cool. It was considered pathetic. And her partner would have to be a 4th grade girl because that's what it was all about, showing Evan that she could fit in with the 4th graders. So the question was who? It had to be a girl who lived in the neighborhood, or at least close by, close enough to ride her bike to her house. And it had to be someone that Jessie had talked to at least once. No way could she call up a girl that she'd never even talked to. It had to be someone also who seemed nice. The last part, that was the problem. Because Jessie knew that often she thought people were nice when they turned out to be not so nice. Case in point, those 2nd grade girls. So Jessie decided it had to be someone who Evan thought was nice. Evan knew about these things. He was the one who had explained, with his big arm around her shoulder, Jessie, those girls are making fun of you. They are not being nice. When Jessie thought about all those different requirements, there was only one answer, Megan Moriarty. She lived less than 3 blocks down the street. Jessie had said hi to her a few times while biking in the neighborhood, and Evan must have thought she was nice because Jessie found a piece of paper in his trash can with Megan's name written all over it. Why would he cover a page with her name if he didn't think she was a nice person? Jessie went to the kitchen and climbed onto a stool so she could reach the cabinet over the stove. She took down the school phone book and looked through the listings for both of last year's 3rd grade classes. No Megan Moriarty. Oh, duh, Jessie remembered. She'd moved in halfway through the school year. With a sinking heart, Jessie checked the town phone book. No Moriarty. Family listed on Damon Road. Okay, said Jessie, slapping the phone book shut and putting it back on the cabinet. Time for plan B. Jessie went into the hall closet and got her backpack, which had been hanging there empty since the last day of school. Inside, she put 3 cans of frozen lemonade from the freezer and her lockbox, which was full of change. She had a $10 bill, still paperclipped to last year's birthday card from her grandmother in her top desk drawer. Then she went to the garage, strapped on her helmet, and rode off on her bike. As she left the driveway, she could see Evan and Scott's lemonade stand on the corner, but she was careful not to make any eye contact. She didn't want to talk to Evan until she was ready to say, ta-da, to impress him. Her heart leaped when she imagined him ditching Scott to be with her. Megan's house was so close that Jessie got there in less than 30 seconds. And less than 30 seconds wasn't nearly long enough for her plan, of what she was going to say. So she rode back and forth in front of the house about 15 times trying to pick out the right words. All of a sudden, a voice shouted from the upstairs window, "What are you doing?" Jessie slammed on her foot brakes and looked up. It was Megan, staring down at her. She looked huge. Her voice did not sound nice. "Riding my bike?" said Jessie. "But why are you riding back and forth?" said Megan impatiently. "In front of my house." I don't know, said Jessie. Do you want to play? Who are you? Asked Megan. Jessie, said Jessie, pointing down the street toward her house. I'm Evan's little sister. Jessie felt like a deflated balloon. You know, Jessie? Oh, said Megan. I couldn't tell because of your helmet. Jessie took her helmet off. So do you wanna? There was a long pause. Where's Evan? Asked Megan. He's out somewhere with a friend, said Jessie. Oh, said Megan. Jessie looked down at the ground. People tell you things, Evan had told her once, with their hands and with their faces, and by the way they stand. It's not just what they say, but you gotta pay attention, Jess. You gotta watch for things that they're saying, not with just their words. Jessie looked back up. It was hard to see Megan at all. She was so far up and she was behind the window screen. Jessie sucked in her breath. Do you want to do something? Another long pause. Jessie started counting in her head. 1, 1,000, 2, 1,000, 3, 1,000, 4, 1,000, 5, 1,000, 6, 1,000. Sure, said Megan. Then her head disappeared from the window. A minute later, Megan was at the front door. Hey, she said, opening the screen. Jessie raised her hand in something that was halfway between a wave and a salute as she walked in. Her sweaty bangs stuck to her forehead where her helmet had smashed them down. She was so nervous about saying something stupid that she didn't say anything at all. Megan leaned against the banister of the stairs and crossed her arms. So, said Jessie. She stared at Megan, who was fiddling with 7 or 8 band bracelets on her arm. Jessie counted 2 Live Strong bands, 1 Red Sox World Champs band, 1 March of Dimes band, and 1 Race for the Cure band. What's that one, she said, pointing to a band bracelet with tiger stripes. Megan stretched it off her wrist and gave it to Jessie. It's for the Animal Rescue League. My mom gave me some money, so they gave us this and a bumper sticker. I've got 22 band bracelets. Cool, said Jessie, handing her the bracelet back. Megan flipped it back on, and she continued to play with the bracelets on her arm, running them up and down. So what do you want to do? Said Megan. I don't know, said Jessie. We could, I don't know, let me think. We could have a lemonade stand? Said Megan, sounding kind of bored. Oh, come on, it'll be fun. We don't have any lemonade, said Megan. I've got 3 cans, said Jessie. She slipped the backpack off her back and dumped out the 3 cans of frozen lemonade. Her lockbox came rattling out too. What's that? Asked Megan. It's my lockbox, said Jessie. We can use it to make change. She felt her face getting red. Maybe 4th graders weren't supposed to have lockboxes. How much money do you have in there? Asked Megan. You mean in change, or do you mean altogether? Megan pointed at the lockbox. How much is in there? $4.42. 14 quarters, 5 dimes, 3 nickels, and 27 pennies. Jessie didn't say anything about the $10 that she'd left at home. Both of Megan's eyebrows shot up. Exactly that much? She asked. What do those eyebrows mean? Jessie wondered in panic. Why was Megan smiling at her? Jessie, these girls are making fun of you. They are not nice, was all she could think. Jessie didn't say anything. She had a sick feeling in her stomach that this was going to turn out badly. Megan straightened up. Wow, you're rich, she said. You want to go to the 7-Eleven? We could get Slurpees. But Jessie pointed to the cans of lemonade on the carpeted floor. The frost on them was already starting to sweat off. We could do the lemonade stand later, said Megan. Maybe. Jessie thought about Scott and thought about Evan, racking up sales 2 blocks down. How was she going to prove herself to Evan if she couldn't get Megan to have a stand? How about the lemonade stand first, Jessie said, And then the Slurpees with our earnings. I bet we'd even have enough to buy chips too, and gum. Do you think? Said Megan. I know, said Jessie. Look. She held up a can of lemonade. It says right here on the can, it yields 64 ounces. So we get 8 cups from each can, and we sell each cup for $1/2. So that's $4. And right there, then we've got 3 cans, so that's $12 altogether, right? The numbers flashed in Jessie's brain so fast she didn't even need to think about what she was multiplying and dividing and adding. It all just made sense to her. Hey, how old are you? Megan asked, looking at her sideways. 8, said Jessie, but I'll be 9 next month. Megan shook her head. That math doesn't sound right. No way we could make $12 from just 3 little cans. Yeah, said Jessie. I'll show you. Do you have a piece of paper? Jessie started to draw pictures. She knew that other kids couldn't see numbers the way she did. They needed pictures to make math make sense. Look, she said. Here are 3 pitchers of lemonade because we've got 3 cans of lemonade. Each pitcher has 64 ounces in it. And she drew this picture. Now, when we pour a cup of lemonade, we'll pour 8 ounces because that's how much a cup holds. You don't want to pour less than that or people will say you're being a cheapskate. So each pitcher is going to give us 8 cups because 8 times 8 equals 64, right? Now, we'll sell each cup for 50 cents. That's a fair price. That means that every time we sell 2 cups, we make $1. Right? Because 50 cents plus 50 cents equals $1. So look, I'll circle the cups by 2s, and that's how many dollars we'll make. Count them. Here's her other picture. Megan counted the circled pairs of cups. 8, 10, 11, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That's how much money we'll make, said Jessie, if we sell the lemonade and if we do the lemonade stand. Wow, said Megan. You're really good at math. She puffed her cheeks out like a bullfrog and thought for a second, and then she popped both her cheeks with her hands and said, whatever, let's do that lemonade thing. Jessie felt soaked in relief. Maybe this was going to work after all. An hour later, Jessie and Megan had transformed the little wooden puppet theater in Megan's basement into the hottest new lemonade stand on the block. The stand was decorated with tissue paper flowers, cut-out butterflies, and glittery hearts. It was a showstopper for sure. And boy, did people notice it. Kids in the neighborhood, strangers walking their dogs, moms strolling their baby carriages, even 2 guys fixing the telephone wires. They all came to buy lemonade. And just when Jessie and Megan were on the verge of running out, Mrs. Moriarty went to the store and bought 3 more cans free of charge. So when Mrs. Polly asked for 12 cups at exactly the moment that Evan rounded the curve and saw the lemonade stand, Jessie felt like she'd just scored 100 on a math test and gotten 5 points for extra credit. So why did Evan stomp off? And how come she didn't feel like she'd won anything at all?